Last night's Monday Night Raw was one of the best episodes of Monday Night Raw in 2024. I think that show in Chicago has it beat just by a little bit. That promo between Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk really put it over the top for me. But without further ado, here's what you missed on Monday Night Raw this week. We're going to start the best wrestling show in pro wrestling off by talking about the best storyline going right now, and that is the storyline between Sami Zayn and the Alpha Academy. So we cut to backstage where Sami Zayn is apologizing to Akira Tozawa and Maxine. Now Otis walks up at this point and Sami goes to turn and leave, but Otis tells him to stay because he wants to apologize for hitting him last week. Now Otis says that he's there for Chad Gable because Gable was there for Otis when Otis lost everything. He lost the Money in the Bank briefcase. He lost Mandy Rose. He lost Tucker, his partner in Heavy Machinery. I'm surprised they even brought that up to begin with. But, you know, it all makes sense. And honestly, it gives us a good exposition as to why Otis hasn't pulled the trigger yet on turning on Chad Gable. We then cut to the ring where we have a scheduled match between Sami Zayn and Otis. And before the match, Chad Gable is talking to Sami Zayn from the ramp, insisting that the Alpha Academy is fine. Now we get into the match and Otis had Sami Zayn dead to rights and was about to pin the Intercontinental Champion. But then Chad Gable interferes and it costs Otis the match, allowing Sami to capitalize and pin Otis for the win. Now after the bell, Chad Gable attacks Sami Zayn and he sets him up so Otis can hit him. But once again, Otis hesitates. He holds back. He can't bring himself to hit Sami Zayn. And this gets Gable pretty angry. Gable ends up shoving him, slapping him a couple of times. And Otis starts to like hulk up. He does the thing where he jiggles his legs a little bit. He gets like all bulked up like he's ready to hit somebody. And he turns around as if he's trying to hit Gable. But Gable dodges it and he hits Sami Zayn in the corner. Now then, it's just Gable and Otis in the ring. And Otis turns again to Chad Gable looking like he's going to hit him. But instead of hitting him, he backs off and he leaves the ring. Clearly very conflicted, but not ready to pull the trigger on that turn just yet. Next up, Io Sky defeats Lyra Valkyria. Lyra goes to hit the Nightwing, but Dakota breaks up the pin, so the ref doesn't see it. So Io wins the matchup instead. So then after the match, Kairi and Dakota Kai, they attack Lyra afterwards, and then Io jumps in until Katana Chance and Kaden Carter make the save. And I have to ask, where have Kaden Carter and Katana Chance been since this women's tag division has gone over this big overhaul? I covered it on the podcast this week, but we have Cargill and Bianca Belair defending against Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, and Alba Fire and Isla Dawn at the upcoming Clash at the Castle pay-per-view. And honestly, I feel like Kaden Carter and Katana Chance could have fit really well into that tag team match. They've just kind of been quiet for a while, but they got some time on Raw now, so they're involved in this storyline between themselves and Lyra Valkyria against Damage Control. Later in the night, Io then screams into the void, literally, and then says that Damage Control needs to change. What they need to do is break up. Another act on Raw teasing a change. Let's see where it goes from here. At a different point in the show, The Miz is looking for R-Truth, his tag team partner. He found Truth later on coming out of a separate room, and he said he was with a fortune teller. And he said that they have a big tag team title match tonight against the APA, Farouk and Bradshaw. Obviously, that's not the case. The fortune teller was Scarlett, and she ends up getting him to agree to a tag team match tonight between Awesome Truth and the Authors of Pain for the World Tag Team Championship. So we cut to that match, and the Awesome Truth do defeat the Authors of Pain. So I'm a little confused. They got that big win last week over the New Day. They had a big tag team title match tonight, and I really thought that it was the time to give them the titles, in my opinion. I guess Awesome Truth are going to hold on to those titles for a little while longer. And once again, Final Testament looked like a bunch of idiots. Speaking of that women's tag team division I mentioned earlier, Baszler and Stark defeated Fire and Dawn in a tag team matchup. So Baszler and Stark get the win when Baszler chokes out Alba Fire. So not really making these challengers look very strong going into their hometown title challenging. But then again, is that because they're going to win or because they're not going to eat the pin? Cutting into a different part of the evening here, we had Braun Breaker defeating Ilya Dragunov in a barn burner of a match. It was a phenomenal matchup, and Ricochet was backstage to support Ilya Dragunov, despite these rumors on whether or not his contract expired. After the match, Braun Breaker went to attack Ilya Dragunov, and Ricochet comes out and makes the save, sending Braun running through the crowd. And when we thought that was the end of the drama between Ricochet and Braun Breaker, it was far from it. Breaker ends up attacking Ricochet backstage. He throws him into a production truck, literally head first, like Kevin Nash, Rey Mysterio lawn dart style, head first, and it sounded gnarly. And just when we thought that was the end of it, there were some stairs on the back of this production truck, right? He takes Ricochet up these stairs, picks him up like a power slam, jumps off these stairs onto the windshield of a parked car behind the production truck. And this windshield shatters. Ricochet is selling like crazy here, and Ricochet ends up going in an ambulance, taken to the emergency room. He did throw a thumbs up like, I'm good, and Samantha Irvin is a mess climbing into the ambulance with him. So she left Monday Night Raw without a ring announcer for the last match of the evening, which we'll get to. Whew, we have a whole lot of Judgment Day drama, so let's dive in. So we open up Monday Night Raw with Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre cutting a promo in the ring. Now, Damian's with JD McDonough and Finn. Dominic's nowhere to be found in this segment. Basically, Damian puts Finn up in a match against Drew in the main event tonight and says if Drew wins, Judgment Day is banned from ringside for their World Heavyweight Championship match at Clash at the Castle. Meanwhile, Dom walks into the clubhouse, and who's there? Liv Morgan, of course. So he's like, no, get out of here. And she's like, listen, I want to give you this. And she hands him her hotel room key and says, I'm going to be there tonight. So she extends an invite to Dominic Mysterio to go to her hotel room. So Raw's they're really leaning into this. Later in the night, we cut back to the clubhouse where Dom is telling Finn, JD McDonough, and Carlito about what happened earlier with Liv offering the hotel room key. So that's where Dom was when he was missing in action in that opening segment. Meanwhile, the symbolism in here went crazy. Dom was wearing a vest that said mommy on it. When they first cut to this shot, he was sitting in front of a Judgment Day poster with Rhea's face next to his. The symbolism went off the charts here. There was also a Judgment Day scale on the table, and they had a Rey Mysterio action figure taped to the scale, holding a popsicle stick sign that said, I'm a deadbeat dad. They're still leaning into this anti-Rey Mysterio and the Rey Mysterio slander pretty hard. So anyway, Dom tells them that Liv gives him the hotel room key, and they're all like, we can't have that in here. And meanwhile, Carlito's like, that's cool. That's cool. Later on in the night, Damian's back in the clubhouse now, and he asks why Dominic was not with him at the top of the show. Obviously, JD and Finn were, but Dom was nowhere to be found. My question is, where was Carlito? During this segment, they realize at the end of it that the hotel room key is gone. Somebody took it. After that, we had a 6-man tag team match coming on where Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee, and Braun Strowman defeat Dominic Mysterio, JD McDonough, and Carlito. Liv showed up. Dom's telling her to leave. Zelina knocks Liv on top of Dom, and she ends up straddling Dominic Mysterio. My question is, why did Braun at one point tag in to then go outside of the ring and then run out and do the thing where he knocks everybody over? He didn't have to tag in for that moment, but it was really funny to see him like, hey, tag me first, and then he does it. Also, Braun Strowman standing next to Zelina Vega, Dragon Lee, and Rey Mysterio looked really silly. Backstage once again later in the night, Dominic pulls the card out and is like, whoa, I had this on me the whole time. It was planted. It had to have been. So Damian tells Dom that he needs to end it, and JD says that he needs to shave the stash, because obviously the stash has all the Riz in the world that Dom needs. Carlito is then seemingly accepted into the Judgment Day by Damian Priest. Finn, sneakily, as they have this moment of solidarity, swipes the card off the table. So Finn Balor now has this hotel room key. Let's keep that in mind. Main event time as Drew McIntyre faces Finn Balor in one-on-one action, and Drew comes up with the win, which means that Judgment Day is now barred from ringside at Clash at the Castle. And this screams to me that CM Punk is going to interfere and cost Drew McIntyre the title, especially because Damian Priest can't have the Judgment Day to help him out. Another funny moment that happened in this match, Pat McAfee standing in for Samantha Irvin. So he introduces Drew McIntyre by saying, first, a big, handsome bastard from Scotland, Drew McIntyre. So that was great. Another segment, once again, where Dominic wasn't there for his Judgment Day teammates, too. So yeah, Drew McIntyre comes away with the win. Judgment Day is barred from ringside, and Raw ends with Damian and Drew face-to-face, staring each other down to end the show. And that's it. That's Monday Night Raw this week. Let us know in the comment section down below if you enjoyed it. Go ahead and hit us with a subscribe over on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast as well. We do a podcast every single week, or we try to. And we're on TikTok now, at Vacant Wrestling. So thanks again for watching, y'all. My name's Tyler. Take it easy. See you soon.